In this video, what we're going to do is we're going to review the POM 4A solution by going through the Earned Value Cost Indicator table. To begin, we're going to switch our views. We're going to start by going to Table, go down to More Tables, and I'm going to scroll up and grab the Earned Value Cost Indicators. And then we're going to take a look at the column organization and demonstrating just a couple of techniques here for some housekeeping things. We want to put this in kind of a different order so that as we talk through it, hopefully the terms relate a little bit better. So I'm going to start out by taking the budget at completion. I'm just going to left click here in the header, and I'm going to keep my left click mouse button depressed, and I'm going to slide this over here, and I'm just going to insert that column or move that column over here, basically just kind of restructuring my view. I'm going to start with my budget at completion. Then I want my plan values. That's good. Leave those there. We're going to have our earned value next. And after that, we're going to put in our actual cost. Now, we don't see this here on the table, so what we're going to do is we are going to come right here, left click, then I'm going to right click, and we're going to insert a column. And that's going to be our actual cost. Next, we're going to do really the cost variance there, the cost variance percentage, CPI, EAC, VAC. All right, all these look good to the organization we want to do. We'll do a little housekeeping on with some format here. We're just going to take these and move those over to the right. Okay, everything else looks good. And we are ready to begin. We're going to review each of the columns that we have in our Earned Value Cost Indicator table. We're going to take them one at a time. First one is very simple. It's the budget at completion, or BAC. This was our baseline cost that when we originally set up our project, we were using labor hours to define the cost of the task. And this was our budget, yielding a original budget, baseline budget of $1.692 million. Next, we're going to take a look at the plan value, which was formerly known as the budgeted cost of work scheduled, meaning at this point in time, how much work had we planned to finish according to our schedule? What did we plan? What was the planned value of the budget we should have earned by this point? And again, just remember, you define this point of the project by the project information tab and establishing the status date. So along the way here on March 31st, we should have, according to our schedule, finished this amount of work in this column. And the one that we need to look at mostly here is the equipment rehab, which at this point in time we should have finished $492,800, which we've begun that task, but we haven't finished it. And if we take a look at the market testing, at this point we should have finished $41,600 worth of market testing effort. We should have expended that much in labor dollars, but yet we haven't even started that task. As a point of clarification on plan value, what I did is I went ahead and added in the baseline start dates for our task, the new early start date calculated as our project starts to slide or slip based on our start and finish dates. And I've added the new early finish date and the task duration. Now, looking at this $41,600, you can't look at the plan value based on the current early start. The plan value always refers to what the baseline is. And if you go back to the baseline, the original baseline start date was March 14th. So this represents the time value of the budget that should have been earned between March 14th and March 31st, even though we have not started work on this particular activity. Okay, so that's a quick recap on plan value. Next, we're going to take a look at the earned value, which is a representation of how much of the work did we capture when we completed it. So, given that these tasks are 100% done, where we're at is we have just earned the portion at 100% of the budget. Earned value is calculated by the percent complete times the budget at completion. So 100% of 64 is 64, and 100% of 57.6 is 57.6, and so on. Now, The equipment rehab is 66% done, and again, that's a two-digit round off. So if you take 66%, or roughly 66% of 528,000, you'll get a current earned value of 346,969 against the planned value at this point in time, in March 31st, compared to the original baseline start date. We should have earned or finished $492,800 of work. Next, we're going to look at our actual cost, which is simply, in our case, the labor, the man hours spent to capture the actual duration. I've added a column for baseline duration. This was our original duration, which 20 days was equivalent to $64,000. We went 10% over that, so for 22 days, so our actual cost was $70,000. Again, setting the product specs, we had budgeted 15 for $57,006, and our actual duration was 18, which yielded 69.1. At this point in our in-progress task, our actual cost represents the 18 days that we've currently spent, and that's $404,000. And of course, the rest of these tasks we haven't reported any progress, so we have no actual cost. And just to mention, likewise, we have no earned value. Next two columns are the cost variance and the cost variance percentage. Now, these numbers, this cost variance, will be different than the column heading that's strictly titled variance, which is in a different table, and we'll demonstrate that with a separate tutorial. But the cost variance is very specifically focused at the earned value technique, and it's simply a subtraction of the earned value minus the actual cost. So if you look at the needs survey, we had planned that we would earn $64,000, and our actual cost was $70,400, so that's a negative $6,400, meaning it basically just took us too much money to accomplish what we had originally planned. Now, if we look at setting the product specs, we see that's an $11,520 difference. If you want to look at the percentage, they're over here, and that's all that is. You can see if we hit, on this particular task, the shelf life report, the baseline duration was 10, the actual duration was 10, the planned value, so everything is just per plan, and our cost variance would then be 0. Again, here on the equipment rehab, this is a running total based on what we've got, but it's still the earned value minus our current actual cost. We're not finished yet, and we're already over budget. We know we have trouble on our equipment rehab. The next column is our Cost Performance Index, or CPI, and this is quite simply a division of our earned value divided by our actual cost. And what this is really a, if you will, it's a performance indicator, or a score, an average, if you will, a test grade of how well you spent the money that you said you're going to spend. In this case, if we take a look at, we planned on a $64,000 budget, we spent $70,000, so our score, if we're going to grade ourselves, was 0.91, or we were 91% efficient. If we look at the shelf life report, where we said we're going to spend $19,200 and we spent $19,200, we were 100% efficient in our work. And then if we take a look at the other extreme on the nutrition report, where we had planned to spend $9,600, where we earned $9,600, but we only spent $7,680 to do it, we were 20% better from a cost variance, but our efficiency, we were 125% efficient in our work. So overall, if we take a look at this number, this is a very important number, our cost performance for our project, we are operating at an 87% efficiency for our total project, which again is the earned value of our project divided by the actual cost to get that earned value. So that 87%, we're going to use that here in a minute to forecast our estimate at completion. A question quite frequently asked by management is, once you're into your project, is, well, how much money do you think we're going to need totally to finish our project? And the estimate at completion is a way to, if you will, forecast how much money you're going to need. And what it is it's you take this baseline. This was your original plan, this 1.692 million. And so far, your efficiency has only been 87%. So if you take that 1.692 and divide that by your efficiency to date, you're going to get a bigger number because this is less than 1. So instead of saying, well, my original budget was 1.692, I'm only working at 87%. So my new estimate completion is 1,943,000 and change. So that's one way to use the cost performance index to estimate or forecast rather. This is what we call the EACF, or estimate at completion forecasted, and again based on your original budget divided by your performance to date. So if you take a look at how much additional money you're predicting to spend, that would be your VAC, or variance at completion, and this would be your budget at completion minus your estimate at completion forecasted, to yield, basically you're looking at, for this particular example, an extra $251,000 and change. The last indicator, or earned value indicator, that we're looking at is the TCPI, or the To Complete Performance Index, which is defined as the ratio of the work remaining to be done divided by the amount of funds remaining to be spent. Or, simply stated, is if we were 87% efficient with the amount of budget that we've actually spent so far, looking at the remaining amount of budget we have left, we have to be 107% efficient in order to finish at our budget. So basically what this number is, this kind of gives you a feel for, can you get back to your original baseline cost? You've only been 87% efficient so far. You've burned through X amount of your budget. You have Y amount remaining, and this says that if you can be 107% efficient, then you'll get back to budget. If you can't, then you're going to be somewhere off your budget. So bottom line, the key indicator indexes here are the CPI and the TCPI. They're both related, but the TCPI is determined by where you're at in your project right now and how much you've actually spent. I want to summarize by saying we're looking at the earned value cost indicator table, and we've discussed each of the earned value columns. We've moved them around a little bit. We've added a couple. We've explained how they relate to each other. The one point I want to make very clear is that the earned value numbers that you see here, especially the EAC number and the variance at completion number, will be different than the numbers you see, this variance number and this total cost number, in your cost table. They're a little bit different. We're going to have another tutorial to explain that, but please understand that these numbers here on the cost tables are not using the earned value technique, and they are going to be different than the earned value methods. Both of them can be considered correct. It's a matter of, once you choose one method to manage your project, you need to stay consistent, and we'll talk about that again in a separate tutorial.